Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 358 of the podcast. And on this episode, I'm talking about Angels pitcher Ryan Johsnon making the major league roster despite the fact that he has not yet played minor league baseball. Very rarely are there a lot of things to talk about during the first week of the baseball season, but one story that caught my eye is the Angels putting 22-year-old pitcher Ryan Johsnon on their major league roster. And like I said, Johsnon has never played minor league baseball, and I'm going to be honest up front. I don't care all that much about this particular pitcher. I'm just interested in the idea of players going straight to the big leagues, and there are examples in the past. Sandy Koufax, Catfish Hunter, and more recently Garrett Crochet for notable pitchers, Al Kaline, Harmon Killebrew, and Dave Winfield for noteworthy positional players who never played minor league baseball. I just don't understand how helpful minor league baseball is for current players, especially pitchers. Paul Skeens started 12 games in the minors. I don't think it's far-fetched to say he would be the same dominant Paul Skeens he is right now without ever playing minor league baseball, especially in this era where we are doing everything we can to protect the arms of these young pitchers, trying to prevent the inevitable Tommy John surgery that most of them will end up having at least once, and in some cases twice. I have never heard anyone talk about how them throwing in the minors may negatively impact their careers. If you're only going to get a finite amount of innings from a pitcher, shouldn't almost all of those innings be in the major leagues? I mean, we're trying to do everything to preserve these young arms, but I've never heard anyone talk about the fact that they are still throwing games in the minors. Why don't we get rid of that? Baseball, weirdly, is the only sport that makes it seem like you have to learn how to play the sport after you get drafted. I mean, look at the other sports leagues. They draft players who play right away, and that's why people watch on draft night for those sports. The NFL and the NBA, nobody watches the Major League Baseball draft because they know they have to wait at least a year in most cases, possibly a year and a half, to see those players play the sport. Not only do those sports draft days feel like events, but you also get to keep a close eye on the athlete. You know that they are coming, and you know when they are coming. With baseball prospects, you lose track of them. You forget that guy is even on your team because you don't remember when your team drafted that guy. Also, I'm far from the only one who feels this way, but what does it say about college baseball that it isn't viewed as a place for players to grow and develop? I can understand high school players needing some growing time, but college should be the learning curve, the way college football is for the NFL and college basketball is for the NBA. And this is probably my biggest gripe with minor league baseball. I think baseball teams use the minor leagues in a deceptive way. And what do I mean by that? I'm a fan of the Boston Red Sox, who have not been very good these past few years, and all the talk around that team has been about the young talent that they have, and maybe that is true, but one of the reasons they are talking about the future all of the time is because in the past their current major league roster wasn't great. The Red Sox were using the minor leagues as a shield. Oh, I know that our major league roster is bad, but look away from that and get excited about the future. Because in 4 years from now, we are going to be one of the most dominant teams in baseball because we have the number one farm system. And look, it does seem like the Red Sox may have been telling us the truth, but how annoying is that the major leagues were suffering, and yet they had all of this talent on their minor league roster, and maybe they could have called them up way sooner than when they're going to be up in the major leagues. Maybe those young players players could help the big league roster right now, but there's a part of me that believes they didn't want to call up that young talent because they wanted that excuse, because they had that excuse. If they weren't going to be good, they could say, well, it's all about the future. And the Red Sox are not the only team that does this. There are a lot of baseball teams that are trying to sell their fan base on all the young talent they have in the minor leagues. And that's another thing that no other professional sports league does, where they tell you, oh, ignore the talent we have on the major league roster. Get excited about these players who you're not going to see play the game yet unless you're going to spend $15 on a Tuesday night and watch them play minor league baseball. I truly do feel like that is pure insanity in a lot of cases. Especially if you are a bad baseball team, just call up your best young player and have them grow and develop in the big leagues, because that would create something that all of us would want to watch, and we would seek that out. Oh, this really bad team called up their number one prospect. I need to watch that team immediately. I mean, look at what happened with Paul Skeens and the Pirates. They call up Paul Skeens. He's a dynamite on the mound, and everyone is talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. The same thing happened with Steven Strasburg and the Nationals. I mean, a team that was irrelevant all of a sudden became a national story because they had a young talent that everyone wanted to talk about. I really do believe as the years go on, there are going to be less and less players playing minor league baseball. I don't see it completely going away anytime soon because it's a business in and of itself. I do find it to be a weird establishment, though, where we send the best young baseball players on a bus because we think it builds character. Maybe I'm completely wrong about minor league baseball, but I can't deny the fact that I think the best thing to come out of it is the movie Bull Durham. And if I'm being completely honest, I understand the need to have a league to develop young players. I just don't think super talented young players necessarily need to spend time there, especially young pitchers. In the majors, they are no longer asking pitchers to go deep, and they don't have the workload of yesteryear. Maybe if this was the MLB of 1968, where we were asking every pitcher to throw 8 complete games a season, but that is no longer the case. I mean, the average pitcher is barely going 5 innings and throwing 100 pitches a game. That ask isn't that big anymore. And clearly, pitching careers are not going to go as long as they used to. I mean, guys aren't going to last 15 years. What I believe minor league baseball should be used for is the underdog stories. I mean, finding the hidden gems, developing those guys. I don't think first round draft picks, really high-end talent, should be spending any time playing minor league baseball, especially if they are a pitcher who pitched in college. I do feel the need to say this on this podcast specifically, that this is all opinions. I'm not an expert on minor league baseball. I have been to games. I have enjoyed watching minor league baseball. I don't hate minor league baseball. I'm just kind of annoyed by it as an object. And I think at some point it did start to feel frivolous to me. I mean, what are we doing? Did Paul Skeens need to pitch minor league baseball at all? Absolutely not. It made no difference in the career of Paul Skeens. And I feel like there are so much big league talent out there right now that didn't need to play minor league baseball. It should be the place to develop diamonds in the rough, not the obvious great players. Now it's time to get into another thing that really bothers me about minor league baseball. And we've all heard this term as baseball fans, service time. Oh, your favorite young player isn't going to make the major league roster because the franchise wants another year of control for that player. No other sport would give their teams an incentive not to call up their best young players, but Major League Baseball would. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense, and another thing that drives me nuts about minor league baseball. And I get it. Some of you might be listening to this podcast and think I'm completely out of sync. I mean, we do romanticize minor league baseball. It is fun to watch because you're seeing these young guys play this sport. They're not making boatloads of money. They're not big names, and they're honorably putting in their time to master their craft. And that makes a lot of sense for some people, but it doesn't wouldn't make sense for the Paul Skeens of the world, the Bobby Witt Jr.'s of the world. Think about this. Sandy Koufax did not play minor league baseball. He came into the sport in 1955 during a time period where pitchers were asked to do a whole lot. During his last 2 seasons, Sandy Koufax threw for 335 innings and 333 innings. He was a workhorse. He was able to do that without throwing a pitch in minor league baseball. Last season, the average amount of innings per start for a starting pitcher was 5.24 innings. We are no longer asking that many pitchers to be that classic ace-level pitcher. And if we all agree that to be true, then what exactly are we preparing them for by having them throw meaningful innings in minor league baseball? Another term I truly hate when it comes to minor league baseball players is prospects. When somebody calls a young player a prospect, it completely drives me insane. And usually those said prospects are used as bargaining chips in trades. This is how a trade in Major League Baseball usually works. You give me your proven player that I know is an all-star, and you'll give me 3 guys, one of which will probably end up being really good. And as a Red Sox fan, I've been a victim of those kinds of trades. I mean, the Red Sox traded away Mookie Betts, and one of the guys they brought back in that trade was a prospect shortstop, Jeter Downs. I mean, the history of baseball is filled with these prospects who never became anything in the big leagues. And the hype that builds around these guys is only because no one has seen them play actual Major League Baseball. So there's a real mystery behind these players. Oh, there's actual talent because they've played minor league baseball, but because we haven't seen them go head-to-head against the best, you can convince yourself that they're going to become a star player in the major leagues. Without a doubt, the current ace of the Red Sox staff is Garrett Crochet, who, like I mentioned earlier, never pitched an inning of minor league baseball. The guy just has the talent. He's a strikeout machine. I get it. He's a rarity. Not everyone is going to be Garrett Crochet. And before him, there was another Red Sox pitcher who skipped minor league baseball altogether, and that was Chris Sale. Again, a lefty who was a strikeout dominant pitcher. And when Sale first came up, he was more of a reliever, and that makes sense to me. I mean, use these young guys in their first year as a relief pitcher, have them grow and develop during the big leagues, and then by year 2, have them be a full-on starting pitcher who you can get 100 to 150 innings out of. I mean, it would be a whole different conversation if there weren't examples of guys who have had success without playing minor league baseball. Like if I was just talking about Ryan Johsnon and he was the first ever player to skip minor league baseball altogether, then I wouldn't really have an argument. But some of the biggest names of all time and some guys who are underrated skipped minor league baseball, and it did not negatively impact their careers. I will admit, I am talking from the perspective of a fan. I don't know how Major League Baseball players actually felt about their times in minor league baseball. Do some of them look at their minor league time and go, wow, I wouldn't be the big leaguer today if I hadn't played minor league baseball? I'm sure there are those guys, but I'm also sure there are a lot of them that go, I was great in the minors, I'm great in the big leagues, and I'm great whenever I play the sport of baseball. I don't find the minor leagues to be a necessary evil. I could have skipped them altogether. I mean, getting back to Paul Skeens, because he is the modern example. I mean, the minute that guy was drafted, it was, when are we going to see this guy in the big leagues? And then he was dominant in the minors. And it's like, come on, guys. Can we have Paul Skeens pitch for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are not interesting without him? So as you can tell by listening to this podcast, I am interested to see if this experiment with Ryan Johsnon and the Angels succeeds. And I am rooting for it because I want to see more pitchers spend more time in the big leagues and less time pitching during minor league baseball seasons. I don't think that they all need it in the same way. There are clearly some pitchers who are wild when they're young and they need to develop and pitch in AAA and AA and single A. And that's the other thing that kind of bugs me about minor league baseball is it's not all one thing. There are levels to it. You need to go through single A, then you get to AA, then you get to AAA, then you make the majors. I think those are too many hoops to jump. Once a guy proves that he can play baseball, let him play Major League Baseball. These are thoughts and opinions that I have wanted to share about minor league baseball for a long time and have never found an appropriate avenue. And then I saw the story and I said to myself, well, I got to tell the people all of my opinions about minor league baseball, and they're not great. I really do question its usefulness during modern times. And not to be this guy, but I do think there was a time where minor league baseball made more sense. I mean, nowadays, everyone is demanding everything right away. We are so impatient as a society. Oh, your favorite team just drafted this baseball player. You won't see him play the actual game of baseball for 3 years. That is a big ask on modern audiences. And now the internet, all they do, baseball fans talk about prospects and when they are going to see them finally play Major League Baseball. And you see it, Yankee fans have been waiting for Jason Dominguez to break out and have a great season with the Yankees because they've deemed him the Martian. He's been a great minor league player, and now they're waiting for him to be a big league star. The Red Sox in recent years had first baseman Bobby Dahlbeck, who would struggle mightily during Major League Baseball seasons and then get called down to the minors and play like he was Frank Thomas when he was winning back-to-back MVPs for the Chicago White Sox. I mean, that's how great of a minor league baseball player Bobby Dahlbeck was. I'm just not entirely a believer that minor league stats mean anything to the sport of Major League Baseball, that success in the minor leagues mean that you are going to be good in the major leagues, or vice versa, that if you're bad in the minors, you won't be good playing Major League Baseball, where the stakes are at its highest. I think some players rise to the occasion. For example, Mookie Betts, one of the best players in Major League Baseball, never hit more than 15 home runs in a season during his stint in minor league baseball. During the big leagues, he's had 4 separate seasons of at least 30 home runs. I do find it a bit funny that more people are talking about the Savannah Bananas than they are about the teams playing minor league baseball. I mean, minor league baseball is filled with teams and their theme nights, and it's fun, and I get it. I'm not saying that minor league baseball is a bad product. I'm saying I don't think it's really doing all that much to help develop and grow the stars of Major League Baseball. And what's fun about this particular topic is it's all based on my opinion. I mean, you're not going to outright prove me wrong, and I'm not going to outright prove myself right either. I mean, it's all my opinion. It's not fact-based. But these are opinions I have had about minor league baseball for a long time now. It's why I don't get excited when my team trades for a top prospect, and why I don't get upset when they trade away a top prospect, because I always want the proven player over the guy who I've never seen play Major League Baseball before. So yeah, I'll be following Ryan Johsnon all season long to see if he puts up decent stats, to see if a pitcher like that can thrive without pitching in minor league baseball. I'm excited to see if the Angels know what they're talking about, because it's interesting that it's coming from the Angels, who have had issues with pitching over the last decade or so. I mean, that was a team that used to have really good pitchers. They had Jared Weaver. They had John Lackey, Irvin Santana. I mean, they had really good starting pitching, and then they went all in and started to pay a boatload of money for offensive players only. And that could be the reason why they look at a guy like Ryan Johsnon and say, forget the minor leagues, because they are so desperate for good pitching. I said it on a podcast a few weeks ago. I think the Angels are going to be an above 500 team this season, and I don't know how big of a part Ryan Johsnon is going to play in all of that, but I do hope he does play a part, because I want to see more pitchers skip minor league baseball and pitch right away. I think it's time. I don't think a pitcher needs to spend all that much time pitching in minor league baseball. The other fun thing about this podcast episode is I have no idea who's on my side and who's not. I don't know if I'm in the majority or the minority. I don't know how many of you absolutely love minor league baseball. Maybe there are people who are out there who are minor league season ticket holders and go, what on earth are you talking about? You couldn't be more wrong if you tried. And then maybe there are people out there who are saying I'm preaching to the choir. I don't know. This is just how I feel about minor league baseball right now, and I felt this way for a long time. And yes, if this is a success, more and more pitchers are going to skip the minor leagues. And I'm on board with that, and if you're a fan of Major League Baseball, you should be too. I want the best players to be playing in the biggest league, Major League Baseball. That's where I want to see them grow and develop. It's like for some of these teams, if you're going to lose 100 games anyway, why not call up your young prospect and see what you have in them? Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.